Hello, my name is Curtis Steele, and I am the application developer for the ProAll Commander Control System. In this video, we will go through gates calibration, which includes calibration of your aggregates, including stone and sand. If you have any questions after viewing the video, please call ProAll support at 403-335-9500. When calibrating your gates for the different aggregates, we want to go back to our menu screen, Calibration. Now calibration takes you to the powder calibration initially, but you'll notice at the top right hand corner there's a value that says Cal Gates, so in yellow here, so that's your gates calibration page. So now we're in gates calibration. Typically we start with either sand or stone, depending on how you want to do it, but if you start with sand, in this case gate B, then when you do your stone you can leave the sand in the bin. So we'll start with gate B with sand. So the naming conventions are the same here as the powder was, or any of the cement powders or color. You can change the name on the screen by touching the value, deleting what you don't want, and changing the name to whatever you want. So if I wanted sand Z or whatever you want, you can just put that value in and press save. So in this case here now, what we're going to do is we only want to run the belt. We don't want to run everything else. So it's also important, just like in the powder calibration, that we hit calibrate mode on. And now what that does in this case is only run the belt, not the cement auger. So you'll also notice down here there's different trial numbers. So each trial represents a gate height setting. So in this case, trial 1 is set for a gate height of 6. If I rotate the knob, trial 2 is set for a gate height of 10. You can have up to 5 different trials. In the case of this example, there's only 2. So a gate setting of 6 and a gate setting of 10. It's up to you how many trials you want to do. It affects basically how it calculates the curve. The more trials you have, the better the average or the value of the curve. But a lot of guys will only do 2 trials, so 2 gate settings. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a gate trial of 1, which would be your lowest gate setting. So in this case 6. We're going to run off a little bit of material first to make sure that the belt is charged with the sand and make sure that it's at the correct height. So we're going to hit button 14. The belt will turn and ensure that that level of sand is correct up to the end of the belt. Then we're going to stop. We're going to ensure that our counts are reset to 0 by hitting reset count. And now we're going to start our actual trial. We hit button 14 and we generate counts. So the example here is after 275 counts, weight 1 came up to 75 kilograms. So we'll just do 275 or so. Pretty close. Now this is exactly the same as the powder as well. So you can actually either hit the value and type in 260, or you can hit trial 1 load and it'll just move the value from that box to that box. So after doing up to 3 different runs for this particular gate setting, you can hit trial calculate and it'll average all those values and put it in the box above. When you're done that particular trial, you press save, and then you can move on to the next gate setting. So if we go to gate trial 2 at a gate setting of 10, we're going to again run off material so that that new gate setting, that the height of that material is right to the end of the belt. So in this case we're not going to take a sample, we just want to run the material off, get it so that it's at the end of the belt, stop, and then again reset our count to 0. So now we can start our next trial at a gate setting of 10. So now we're going to press start and we're going to generate counts. The counts are going to be a lot less in this case because the gate setting is much higher than the one previous. So we'll go to about 140, stop, and we can hit trial 1 load again, and it loads the value into the box. So once we've done or up to our 3 different weight trials for this particular gate setting, we hit trial calc again, and it calculates the value for that gate setting. You'll notice that there's 5 different counts here. So if you did up to 5 different gate settings, they would all show values in here. In our case, we only have 2 for this example. One thing to keep note of is if you're only going to do 2 different gate settings, when you notice that there's some values in some of these other trials, you got to make sure that those values are 0 because they will affect how it calculates that curve. So if, for example, you had a weight here, let's just say it's 58, and you didn't actually do a trial for this one, just make sure you 0 that trial before you move on to the next one. Okay, and so on. So just make sure 3, 4, and 5 in this example are 0 so that it doesn't affect your curve calculation. So now in this case we have values for gate set 1 and gate set 2. So at gate setting of 6 and gate setting of 10, what we want to do is we want to calculate that curve. So the last step of this process is you press gate calc, and it's going to calculate the slope of the curve essentially for that particular material. So that was sand. The next one you're going to do is your stone. And the process is exactly the same as the sand. So you're going to have, again, in this case, it's going to be at 6 and 10, so it's exactly the same, but up to 5 different gate trials for stone. You're going to get your average of your values for that one, and they show up here up to 5 different gate settings. And when it's all complete, you press gate calc, and it gives you a value for the curve for the stone. The other important thing here too to notice is when you're doing your calculations, you can actually put in moisture. So if I go back to sand, for example, you'll notice that it said moisture was at 4%, the absorption was at 0.5%. What this does is when you're doing your calculations, it takes out any weight of the water from the sample. So in this case, 75 kilograms, there would have been 3.5% of that would have been water. So it takes that out of the weight calculation before it generates the value for the weight at that gate setting. So it's important to note that you can put in your moisture values before you do the calibration to ensure that you're actually getting SSD weight instead of water weight in your sample size. The only other difference with this screen too compared to the powders is this one allows you to do up to 10 different materials for each one. So you can do up to 10 different stone calibrations and up to 10 different sand calibrations. So it gives you quite a few different material options for your mix designs right here on the display. And then the last thing you want to do after you've done your stone calibration is you want to make sure that you hit your calibrate mode off before you leave the screen as well. Thanks for watching this video, and please contact ProAll support if you have any further questions.